only thing that is going to take me forward is my craft. Because the day I stop being truthful to my craft, I can't look at myself in the mirror.
What is your philosophy of life? Is there a philosophy that you follow?
I deal every film like, what if it's my last film? What if the next work never comes? I'm trying to get there when the images will evoke that physical sensation in you. It should be worth being that last film that she shot,
Why cinematography? You naturally got into cinematography, or was it a very conscious choice?
I knew that looking through a camera makes the world look a lot more magical than how reality is. That space liberated me in a way. It was like as if I've come home.
Chobi Vishwas, there's a scene of this lady walking up the stairs, and you could see one RGB tube behind him. They scene also. Was that a conscious choice?
It was a conscious choice to put it
Why
there.
did you, in a daylight?
Till the point the guy is murdering in an 8mm camera, that you can believe, but you can't believe an RGB tube is there.
I was watching this Ari Shovi and I saw some of your footage. It's a very proud moment for us because someone representing our state. And you also became recently ISC member.
Yes.
When is ASC happening? Really excited for this episode and really happy to have you here. It's taken some time to get you here because of your schedule and because of all the dates. Thank you for coming and giving us the privilege to have a conversation with you. So Modhura, you have evolved as a filmmaker. You have started your journey 7-8 years back. You have worked with major directors, and through this journey you have also evolved as a human being. So we would want to know, what were you back then? Your ideologies, your philosophy, your way of looking at life, and how do you see things differently now? It can be your filmmaking process as well, but as a human being, we would want to know.
I think when I started out 8 years back, I was this very fresh out of film school person, looking at life in a very, through a very glass of rosy colored glasses and everything. It was all hunky-dory for me. But then slowly and gradually realized that the reality is very different. There is a difference between passion and just doing something for the sake of doing it. And I've also kind of realized that the industry everywhere, the film industry per se, for everywhere, is a very ruthless and a volatile space where you being kind or you being over friendly or you just going out of your way to do something is taken for granted, is taken as a sign of weakness. So I think I've become more tougher as a person. I think I have kind of decided not to be easily available to a lot of people, not to overshare. I have decreased my knit of friends and everything. I was very close friends that I have who I can actually share with. And I've realized there's a importance of having a safe space between yourselves that you can actually share. And I've also realized that, there is a huge lot of depression that is there between all of us because we are working in this volatile situation. We don't know when the next work is going to come. We are there for weeks, months, waiting for that call to come. And you will see some other guy or your friend or junior hitting on a project and doing great things. And suddenly this FOMO hits you that, am I being forgotten? Did I not do it good enough? And we all go through that and we all suffer through that. But the problem again is that it is not allowed to talk about, because the moment you say that, I'm scared that what is going to happen, it is like, the person is not fit anymore to do work. There's something wrong with that person, which I've always found very weird, that it is a universal truth that we are all scared of the next day, from the biggest to the smallest. Everybody is, but nobody really talks about. And you need to create that space of safety between your friends, your close ones, and you have to talk about it. And the idea is to wait. It's a lot less is about the creativity. It is a lot more about waiting for the right time, for the TDS, for the next contract to happen, for your Uber fares, for your meetings and all of that. So navigating through that is more of what has taught me to be patient, to wait things out and realize that not every year is going to be the same, not every project is going to be the same, but then there's some things that you don't have any control of. So you have to just wait it out calmly, patiently, and just hold on there and hang in there.
So during these downtimes, like it's a major point that you have just said, all the freelancers or all the DOPs or all the videographers out there, they are uncertain about what is coming next. So there are downtimes. So what do you do to, keep yourself positive and keep yourself motivated and keep yourself aligned with what your vision is? Because there are chances that you can be, go to negative parts of your mind and you can get depressed. It can get very scary at times. So how do you manage that part? Like, because it's been quite some time, you have gone through this a lot of times. So how do you manage?
I personally sleep,
Okay.
but I think that is my way of going through it. I just sleep off the days. But no, it's also, I think I have learned to stay positive, because there is this saying that, ye waqt bhi chala jayega. So it's, even it's a good moment, ye waqt bhi chala jayega. If it's a bad moment, ye waqt bhi chala jayega. So nothing stays, nothing is permanent. It is like a cycle. You go through the down paths, you come up again. It's like a wheel that moves. But I think during that time, what I try to do is work on my craft. Like, I read a lot of books on the craft and I see what other people are doing, try to understand what they're doing, their work, find inspirations from them, and just feel like these are the times which I'm getting to, kind of go back and reflect back on my craft and maybe hone it, because it's very easy to feel depressed and just sit in the homes. I'm not saying it's not doesn't happen. There are days when you just don't want to do anything and just thinking that what the hell just happened, what the hell is going to happen next. But I think what I've tried to do is, at that moment, I've tried to stop thinking about the next work. I've tried to kind of get back to my projects, have a retrospective of what I was doing. Did I do that good? Did I do that bad? Or would have done it differently? What is this person doing? Oh, so they have shot it like this. Why can't I try it from the next film? Do all of that. So it keeps me in a practice also on the things. And that is the time I also used to kind of network. Like, a lot of connections we lose, by the daily work and everything. So those are the times I kind of renew the contacts, get back in touch with them, just drop in a hi, hello, what is happening, and stuff like that. So just try to create an alternate work from home kind of a situation, that makes you feel that you're busy. You just have to find a way of making yourself busy. And I do that. And rest of the time I sleep. So it's a win-win thing.
How do you see the Bengali industry, now? Like, what is your take on it? What is the condition right now? Is it good? Is it bad? Or what is your take on it? Your personal take, unbiased.
I think it is a very difficult and a very, very, very scary time to be, because for the last few releases which I've worked are always the big films which I've worked. The smaller films and the ones with the typical way of telling stories have not worked much. And also, I've realized that there is kind of an apathy from the audience to watch Bengali films. It is never on their list one that I'll go and watch this film. It is like, so they'll watch some other Tamil, Hindi, or English film, and then the option of coming back to Bengali films happens. So the audience have kind of rejected it. And I think the formulas which have been always thought to have worked for Bangla film is not working anymore. So it is time that we all have to take more risks in terms of storytelling, in terms of mounting, in terms of scale, in terms of treatment and everything else, and reinvent the Bangla film and tell it in a different way, in a larger scale, because that is the thing that you're actually also competing with, right? So you have to give that same amount of how do you say, a bait to the audience to come and watch for it, and which I think right now is missing. And I am honestly very scared of the situation, because a lot of films are most of the films are not working. You just know how many of them are working. It is like only 2 or 3 or 4 at a given point of time. And it is just not a very healthy thing to happen to an industry. The amount of films being made here has reduced drastically. The amount of series being shot has reduced drastically. The overall work has reduced drastically in the industry, also Bangla film industry. So it is a scary point of time. There has to be a renewal of things, a reinventing of things, a new way of looking at it, because obviously how we have been doing it is not working. So if that is not working, there is no point clinging on to that idea of, okay, এরকম করবো. So now you have to kind of redo it and think of it in a very, very, very different way.
Is there a core point that we are missing according to you?
I think that there was a point when the Bengali film audience was taken for granted.
Okay.
And they were not served the proper things that they should have been served.
Okay.
So when there was a point when you would see that other language film industries like a Marathi or a Tamil or Telugu or whatever, they were drastically changing their narrative styles and they were bringing in newer stories, newer things, and all of that was happening. We were talking about the same story, same thing, and the same way of telling it. And that didn't work. Everybody else revamped themselves and we didn't revamp ourselves. I think point one. Point two, there's a huge problem. I personally believe that Bangla film has kind of lost its roots. You have to have that smell of the earth. That is the only smell that is universal. That is a smell where everybody knows, so everybody recognizes. And I think that we don't tell stories from our hearts, from our heartlands, from our roots, from our soil anymore. We have stopped doing it. And we are talking about very generic stories nowadays that can be anywhere. That doesn't need to be Kolkata, that can be Delhi, Bombay, anything, whatever. But you would see that always the films that talk about the roots, talk about the soil, they always connect more. And I think we have such a huge and amazing history of rooted stories and incidents and happenings that has happened here. We have stopped talking about those kind of films. We have stopped talking about those kind of narratives. And it is not going to work. The more local you are, the more global you become.
So this conversation, don't you have it with your directors, because you are close to your directors? So have you ever got an opportunity to have such a conversation where you can actually, because they are making the movies and they are making the movies that are not connected to the earth, right? What you meant. So do you have a conversation with them?
Yes, I've had conversations with them and everybody kind of understands what I'm saying. They agree to it too and they try doing it too. But somehow there are still a lot of things that, as I said, there has to be risk. When the moment you start telling these stories, when you start doing these stories, you are coming with the risk factor. That is always where I think things are getting stopped, because nobody is willing to take that risk. Nobody is willing to take that leap of faith. And till the time we don't leap, you're not going to reach the other side of the road. It is not only the director's prerogative too, has to be the producer's prerogative also, and the distributor's prerogative also. Like a film getting made by a director, it doesn't stop there. It has to be a lot of other people in the big bucks and everything. They also have to come and engage and support these things. So if that whole system doesn't follow this, then I don't think only the directors can do something about it. Or else, if all the directors start bringing that same kind of a story, then it might be a change. There is no other variation of anything that you have. But I don't know.
One thing I feel, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but somewhere the cultivation of new talent, younger talents, giving them the right space, because there's so much politics, because I have worked in a couple of projects and people are, I don't want to name people, but people are not good. They don't want new people. What I have noticed, they don't want to new talents to come in and bring in their new ideology or their thoughts. So do you think that that is also missing, the education part, the cultivating new talents part, giving more opportunities to fail? Not always will they succeed, but I know we are failing in a big scale, so there's no opportunity to give the opportunity to fail. But what is your take on it? Do you think the same way?
I think, yes, I do agree with that there is a way of not allowing newer ideas to come. By newer ideas, I mean newer people, and in every department and everything else. And I think this is because also the fact that industry has shrunk down so much. It has become so small with so less amount of work. People are also scared to let the work go to somebody newer or somebody anybody else. Because see, you have to understand, the moment an industry is suffering, problems like these start happening. If it's big, if there is like 100 films, 200 films happening, then usme one or two can go to anybody, a new guy, and he might just do it. But nobody would care. But then the moment a industry is making 30 films a year, then the competition is too high. It is like it's almost a tooth and nail thing. And obviously then the newer ones would never be allowed to penetrate into that zone. Having said that, I also feel that it is also the newbies' responsibility to form a clan, to form their own nexus, to help each other out, to make films where there is no money involved. So if I'm a DOP and you're the director, you want to make a film, let's pull in our talents, let's do the film. देखा जाएगा क्या होगा. We'll send it to festivals, we'll do this, we'll do that. But I also feel that the newer generation was trying to get into it, they are also kind of complaining about it and not doing anything about it. There is no point complaining.
True.
Nobody's going to help you if you're going to complain. Like, even if you don't complain, nobody's going to help you. There is no helpers here in a film industry, in any film industry whatsoever. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's your friend. So you have to make your clan. You have to make your nexus. You have to know how to break it. So if all these new people, they kind of decide ke bahar mein jaye, we'll do our own thing ourselves, and we don't care about anybody else, we don't need the big mathas, we don't need the senior people's help, we'll do our own thing, and we start doing it, then films would happen. Like it has happened in Hindi film industry at a point of time when Anurag and Vikramaditya Motwane, all of them were coming up. They kind of all helped each other's films and made it happen. So you kind of have to do that here also. Just push each other, help each other, get it done. Don't wait for anybody to come and help you. You don't need to be there. So because anyways, if the seniors are not taking your ideas, then what's the point? Rather, you make your own group, make your own team of people, and make the films that matter to you. Try changing the industry in that way, no? It's not only that you have to be inside the system to change it.
True.
You can make the changes from outside also, but you have to hustle. And I feel that hustling wala, this concept is also not there. Everybody's kind of wants to be very comfortable. They're already looking at, big bucks, and they want the bikes faster and the cars faster and the iPhones faster. Doesn't happen that way. You have to hustle. So it's a two-way process. It's just not allowing. It is also about you making that space for yourself.
Very nicely said. So could you just take us through your journey when you started out? Like, you were fresh out of college, and how did you get your networking right? What did you do initially that, got you into the film industry and got you, work regularly?
I think the first thing that I did was I decided not to assist.
Okay.
I've never assisted anybody. Like, I've done assisted, but it's like one day shoot, just for that you come and do. So stuff like that. I've assisted very less and very fragmented. But that was the first decision I took. That
But why did you take that decision? What was the thought behind it?
The thought behind was that I have given 5 years of my life to a film school.
Yeah.
I know how it is done. I don't need somebody to teach me again. I don't want to follow anybody to do that also, because itna samay usme dal diya hai, so now I can very well do the thing. And also I kind of thought that, whatever work I will do, it will be under my name. It is not going to be under anybody else's name. So whatever small it is, a little bit of work, small things, doesn't matter to anybody else, but it will be my name. So if I'm good, if I'm bad, it is my work. It is my craft which is going to go out, and not anybody else's. And I did that. And then the first film that happened to me was Amiya Monohar. And I got Amiya Monohar through my sound professor, Rajjagda, in SRFTI. His wife was doing the sync sound recording, and he was doing the sound designing. So he kind of referred my name to Amitabh, and then I met Amitabh, and we gelled and we decided to work together. And initially, I never used to say no to anything that used to come my way. Anything. You just tell me, camera cholbe, I'll be there. Whatever. I have done music videos, ads, and this and that, a bit of television, everything I have done. At that point of time, I just knew that I needed to be seen by everybody. So people to accept also the fact that there is this tiny little girl, hustling here, wanting to become a cinematographer and breaking that convention also. So it was, for me, it was just letting people know that, dude, I'm here. I'm here, I do this. This is my work. Let me welcome, like let me be on your set and let's see what we can do. So it was for me like that, I just wanted to do anything that I could get my hands on and just wanted to do that. I was like, no caste, religion, barrier about anything, just to give me the work and I'll do it.
So as you moved on, when you started getting work, so you must have got scripts that were not good. You were not convinced, but you had to take this gig. So at that point of time, did you take that gig?
Sometimes I did. When I was initially, I was doing projects. There were some projects that I just took on just for the money or for the fact that chalo networking ta to hobe, stuff like that. You just take when initially when trying out. I think it is good to be choosy, but it is also not good to be choosy. Also, you just go with the flow and do it. And there are some projects also is not going to see the light of the day, so you just rather just do it for the sake of the money. You're getting paid, it's not going to come out. You're not bothered about it anyways. So a lot of projects are like that also.
So how do you get to know that this project is not going to see the light?
You see that,
Like,
you
you
read
get the
the
vibe.
script, you get the vibe, you read the script, you talk to the director, and he's like, ye to hobe na dada. ঠিক আছে?
And
then
also
you
the
just-
vibe in the set.
Also the vibe on this, you just see that everything is going haywire. You just feel it, you just know, okay? This is the thank you very much. So those projects, you're like, okay, fine, it is just for the money of it, and you do it. But then the point is that you go to the set, you meet 20 other people. So from there, somebody might call you, okay, I was thinking about you, why don't you come down and this and that. So going to any set, initially is, I think, a good way of making contacts and networking. Just you're there in front of people, because industry has a very short term memory. So if you're not there, they tend to forget you. So you have to be always visible in front of people, that I'm there.
Just being on set, is there any other thing that you do to be visible?
Now I don't.
No, but back then, did you do things that made you visible? One is, of course, you took up a lot of work.
That was my only thing. I just took up a lot of work because it was not anything else. I was new in the industry. I didn't know anybody. So there was no other way of getting to know people or being visible. The only way I had was to work. And that's what I'm saying. I picked up any work possible, tried out everything that I could lay my hands on. And that is the only thing I did. Nothing else, actually. I didn't meet anybody separately to network or do this or that. And because I'm not a very, how do I say, I'm not a very casual talker. I have a problem with casual talking. I can't do that. I'm a very boring person in that way. So I just can't do khejure things. So I never tried doing that also. So it was like, I'll be on a set, I'll meet people and I'll be friends with them and just see where it takes me. Just to be visible and to let people know, okay, I am there to work. So give me a call if you need somebody.
You have worked with a couple of major directors. So if you could share a few stories about your bonding with them, like how do you go about, say you're working with the Srijit for the first time. So how do you go about that? How do you make sure that, if I am chosen, the bonding part, the human part, are there a few steps that you keep in mind to, get the gelling happening?
With any new director, what I try to do is try to kind of understand that person while I'm talking about the script or the project and everything. I try to read that person, okay, what he or she likes or doesn't like, what is their worldview, how are they looking at the film, how is their thing happening, what is their mind space. And then I start talking about, what the script is and try to understand if their vibe and my vibes are matching or not. And then obviously on the first 2 days of shoot, I kind of sit back and observe like how this person is running the set, how he or
Okay.
she is on the set. Because, you talk to a person normally in a coffee shop and you see that same person on a set, there is a lot of difference
Completely
between the
different
two.
people, yeah.
It's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde
Yeah.
each time.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and that works for me as well. Everybody goes through that. Everybody has a work mode and a chill mode.
Of course.
So you need to know that work mode of that person. So the first 2 days, I just kind of not interact too much or just kind of sit back and try to observe that how he's operating on the set, what is he likes, what he doesn't like, and slowly and gradually build that rapport with him and be friends and just chill between shots and talk, which is a rarity, but whatever. You chill between the shots and you talk and you have lunch together, and that is how you slowly and gradually get to know that person and you move with the flow.
So coming to the visual part, like how do you crack, what is the director trying to see? How is he visualizing it? Is there a process that you follow in the prep or in the while shooting to understand his visual aspect? What does he want?
See, there's a lot of ways I do it, but first I ask clearly that what you're looking at, what is the film that you're seeing. Some are very articulate to say that, this is what I'm looking at and everything. And obviously that helps to understand. Some people are not as articulate. So then you kind of try and bring out that I always, it's like, for example, for me, when I read a script, I kind of read it very visually. Like I'm reading it, but the visuals just start coming to me naturally because I find my own way of looking at it. And then I always build up my visuals on that one particular visual from the total narrative that kind of jumps out at me. That can be anything. It can just be a
Okay.
close-up. It can be a wide shot. It can be anywhere
It
from
can be
any
one
point.
particular scene.
It can one particular scene. It is just that one frame I kind of try to lock in. That what is that frame? What is that frame?
Because
What
you're
is that
already
frame?
getting a lot of frames.
I'm already getting a lot of that frames. So that I latch on to that one frame. So, and I was like, okay, so this is what I am looking at the narrative like. This is my go-to shot. This is my thing. And then I build up a mood board around it. I always build mood boards for my projects. That includes reference photos from other films as well, color palette, a lot of paintings also, just to have an understanding of how it is and everything, that I share with the director. And then we get into a conversation that, sometimes it works, sometimes they have a point across about it. Nahi, not this one, something like this. And I go back and change it. I believe that, the director and me should be seeing the same film. If he or she is looking at a different film visually at his head or her head, and I'm looking at a different film, that is never going to work. So I don't stop till the point where you and me are going to see the same film in our heads. Because once we get to know that what film we are looking at, then the whole crew gets to know it. And then everybody kind of sings and you're then making one single film. Else everybody's making their own film, which is a very difficult space to be and very wrong space to be. And and then I kind of create my world in that, like, this is my color, this is my thing, this is my rhythm of the camera that I'm going to use, or this I'm going to go all handheld, or this I'm going to use only block shots, or this I'm going to go very slow tracks and all of it. So that is like layer upon layer and upon layer of build up,
Depending on the story,
depending on the story
scenes.
and the mood and everything else. But for me it is that first one shot that I need to visualize, and I need to visualize it.
Okay, so your last release famous Tekka, if
Yeah.
I'm not wrong. So could you share a few, major challenges that you faced in that movie? In the entire process, it can be in prep, it can be in production, it can be post-production. Was there a major challenge that you faced or major challenges that you faced?
Major challenge of Tekka was always that it is shot in one space. When you're shooting a film in one space, where it is like almost 80% to 85% of the narrative happens in one space for 2 hours, then it becomes a huge challenge for you to kind of show that space continuously and not let the audience get bored. So you have to make the space look interesting, and and it is also not that they're moving around in that same space, like they're stagnant in that one space.
Yeah.
And you have to shoot that one room 2000 times, but each time it should look different. And also we were shooting in this building which is on the, I think, the 12th or the 14th floor.
Major lighting challenges.
So major lighting challenges. You cannot light from the exterior. Okay, you're following natural daylight.
Okay.
And the interiors also, I just kind of tweaked the internal light to my way, because you cannot light. And we had, when we were discussing about this, Srijit was very particular that he wants to see a lot of Steadicam shots. A lot of the shots, like most of the shots in fact, are Steadicam. And we were also shooting double cam. So if you are shooting Steadicam, you cannot do directional lighting. It has to be a kind of overall light, because his camera is going to move everywhere. And also you're shooting double cam, so it has to be a dimensional light for both the characters. So it was a huge challenge that way,
So how did
because
you go about the lighting? Like, what did you do? Like, were you using the practical lights that were already available, or how did you go about the lighting?
the first thing I did was, it is a very flat office space.
Yeah.
So what I did was, and it's a white light space.
Okay.
So what I did, and my palette was all warm and green. That I decided before that I'll do warm and green. But initially I had thought that I'll have the green ambience and the warmer breaks. But then I saw the space and I got in and I was like, this is going to be very difficult if I want to do it, because it is not that control and it's huge and the camera is going to just move everywhere. So I played the opposite. So the first thing I did, there were 250, I think, LED panels on the roof.
So 250 LED panels hired, like
No,
for
not
light.
hired. It was the office
Okay.
lights.
Okay.
And because it's office, so you cannot rig the lights also properly. It's a flat wall, and the moment the Steadicam will go far, you will start seeing the ceiling.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
cannot rig lights there anyway whatsoever, because it is a depth you want to see, and each time you see the depth, the whole of the ceiling is in frame. If you go back and watch the film, you'll see that the ceiling is
Yeah.
just there every
Yeah,
time.
it is.
So what we did, we kind of cut diffusions and our 85 filters, which is the warm filter, and we put layers of it in all of those lights. And we kind of alternated between two diffusions and two filters for one light, and one filter and one diffusion for the next light. So alternatively we put that. So there is a change of
Okay.
light intensity as you travel, so you get light, because I had to create dimension when there was nothing. So I tweaked that lighting, used it to my thing, and then I put tubes around on one wall of it, so it
Okay.
looks part of the this thing
Entire
office,
scene,
but
yeah.
it's not a light which is there. So it gave a dimensional half light to me. And where the main portion that was being shot, in the main room where the hostage takes place, with there we Nafisa Di was art director. So with Nafisa Di, I discussed, and then we put this LED light between that parda. There was no light, so in between that curtains we put an LED strip, and we diffused it and used it. And upper we had rigged lights, because that is the only space where the roof was not visible and the maximum action was taking place. So we
Okay.
fixed lights there, sky panels, and astrotubes and stuff like that. And then it all became a game of turning that on and turning that off.
But what happens in the office space is most of the ceiling lights are at least split into two or three. How did you control that? Say you needed to switch off this aspect of lights. So did you cover it with black paper, or you had that switch in your control?
No,
Because
we had-
majorly we don't have that control.
No, we had the switching first, then we kind of broke down the panels, like, switch A has that panel under control,
Okay.
or switch B has the. So all of the panels we had numbered and made sure, okay, which light is turning off when and which way. So sometimes we used to do that, and then we used to put our lights up, and then it was like, we would know, okay, if it's Devdas close up is happening, then that is the light which will be on, and that is the light which will be
So
on.
you did not have any hand and light for the face? Or just to
No,
give-
because you
nothing,
couldn't.
because
No.
two cameras were always on.
And you have to understand, it is a freaking space with windows.
Yes.
That whole space had this huge mirror.
Huge.
It's a huge glass. And I wanted to see the exterior, because at night I don't have any light from outside. You understand? So you need to have the depth of the bypass or that area that we are seeing. So I can't have lights inside that will have a reflection on the thing and would not let me have the exterior
But my
thing.
point is, in night still it can be managed, but in day when the exposure is high outside, how did you manage that to pull off the exposure outside and inside without any, support of high intensity lights?
It is just exposure tweaking. It was just knowing how much to peg where. It was just mental mathematics.
So you push the camera's dynamic range to the limits?
No, I didn't push the camera's dynamic range to anything. I just let it be. Then I just kind of placed thermocols. That is it. I just bounced off that sunlight to their faces, and I pegged an exposure somewhere between so that my outside is not burnt, my inside is not underexposed, because I knew that in post I can tweak both of it a little bit here and there. Because see, you have to understand that when we are shooting, especially in Kolkata, we are relied a lot on the post production in color correction. Though it doesn't mean that you will kind of shoot anything you want and you go to a colorist and throw in their
Why do you
faces.
say that? In Kolkata, you are dependent on...
Because we don't have time, no? We are shooting so fast and in so much of restrictions, you kind of a lot of things have to just let go and move on.
It, but still you can't do anything.
Yeah, because you're shooting a film in 16 days or 15 days. You don't have that time to, properly do a lot of things. So you let go of a lot of things that, okay, fine, let's go. This is okay. Am I close enough to what I'm correcting it to? Okay, let's move on. Because you don't have that chance to correct it. So we are relied a lot on the color correction process. And for me, I'm so lucky that Debu works with me and he's such a brilliant craftsman. So I had already spoken to Debu, Debu. And so I always do that also when I'm...
Who's Debu?
Devajyoti Ghosh, the colorist.
Okay, so we know by his
yes,
proper name.
Yes, Devajyoti Ghosh, Debu, we all fondly call him.
Okay.
So Debu is a magician. So whenever I am shooting something, Debu also gets to see the color board and the mood board. I send it to him. Okay, this is the next project I'm doing. This is what I'm trying to do. This is my camera. This is where I'm going to pick exposure. Do you think it's fine? And most often he says, okay. Sometimes if he has a point, he will say, okay, no, don't shoot this in this way. Then we can't do this there. What you're looking for. So though personally, I like to shoot as correct as possible because I think that DI is a color correction space. It is not color magic space. It is not a magic tool, right? It will only enhance what you have bought. So if you have bought rubbish, it cannot clean it up. So you have to get the premium output of it, you have to shoot it as premium as possible.
You can't make shit look like gold.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And people have to understand it. So whenever I shoot also, it is already there in the back of my mind. Okay, if I do this, then in post, in color correction, in CC, I can do this. So I kind of go back and do it accordingly. So Tekka was all about that, because it was all about controlling that light that we had.
How many hours were you shooting in Tekka each day?
I think we shot for 17,
18 hours. So you don't think after a point it becomes very difficult for a creative person to actually work, and because you have to deliver, there's no chance of missing the aim.
It is, but I think now it has become a practice.
Doesn't it become mechanic? Can you give that creative output when you enter the set? As creative, as boosted you are.
Your beggars can't be choosers, right? When you know that is how you have to function, then you have to function in that way. Then you can't complain because you signed up for it. Then I should have said, okay, no, I'm not going to work like this. My creative juices are not going to flow after 14 hours.
There's no choice, basically.
There's no choice. So you have to do it. So you have to make sure till the first hour, till the 18th hour, you are at the top of your game and you do it. Because there is no other way of doing it.
There are other people waiting in the bench.
There are other people waiting in the bench.
You miss and they're gonna be there next time.
Yeah.
So, which is your most challenging project? According to you, whatever movies you have shot so far, which is the most challenging project according to you?
It's not like that, because I feel that every project came with their own set of challenges, which held true for somebody might not hold true for the other project. So everything comes with their own baggage of things. For something like an Amar Colony, it had its own set of challenges, because again, we were shooting that same space in 3 different stories, not 3 different stories, 3 different families. And Siddharth and I had decided that, we would use 3 different lenses for the 3 different families. And so each time composing in that way, it was very difficult. Then when we were shooting Amiyo Monohar, it was a very different challenge because we were shooting on the mobile phone and we were shooting right in the Kolkata streets.
You were shooting on a mobile phone?
Yeah, we shot it on the mobile phone. We
Which
shot it on the
iPhone.
But 8 years back, iPhone, I don't even remember which.
But why did you shoot it on an iPhone?
Because we didn't have money. The whole film, I think the whole film's budget was 1 lakh rupees.
Yeah, even if you don't have money, you can just manage a DSLR from somewhere.
No, we didn't have, because we shot that film for almost 8-9 days.
Okay.
And so 8-9 days we didn't have the money to hire a A7S or anything. So we got an iPhone, and because we couldn't afford a gimbal also, and there was a lot of shots on the road. Like they start walking from the Girish Park, and the camera is following them. They walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. Then they get up on the tram. The camera goes on the tram with them. They're traveling the tram, going. They get off from the tram, and now they're crossing the road. We have done all of it in one takes. So it was like each take was like 10-minute long, 11-minute long. So it was a very different way of telling a story, very different narrative. So we had to have the camera which was very mobile itself, very free flowing itself. And it had to bustle around and go unnoticed between the streets and everything.
Does a cinematographer have to have a bond with actors on set? Is it necessary?
I think it is a good thing to have. It's not maybe necessary, but I think it's a good thing to have.
Do you have good connection with the artists that you work with?
Yeah, usually I have because I'm a very pampering DOP in that way. I kind of talk to them, okay, and they'll be blocking some scene, and I would be like, if you don't do it like this, if you can go not sit here, if you can sit there, I think it will be better. If you can just turn your face a little this much, I think it would be better. So I keep on having this conversation with them. And also if there's an intense scene, I ask them, okay, how much are you going to do? You would like to go for a retake, or you would not prefer a retake?
Okay.
Then
the parameters basically.
The
What are their parameters?
What are their parameters? Because I
Okay,
also have to
interesting.
know that. So now I've decided to say they're going to do a huge crying scene. A lot of times they will like, I'm not going to hit the same intensity again. So I won't be able to, or it's very difficult to have it back or the same thing twice. So I know, okay, then I have to design the shot in that way that I'll get the maximum thing out of that one shot that they're going to perform. So small things like that, or stuff like that. This is a very dimensional light set, so you just don't stand in the darkness, for Christ's sake. If here is your dark thing. If you just move one step ahead, you'll catch the light. You can use it to your advantage also, that you want to get into the darkness and you can come into the light. So stuff like that. I walk them through my set also, like in the sense that how I've lit up, how is the thing, how I'm looking at it.
Okay, so you have a conversation whenever you get a time.
Yeah. And especially when the director is blocking, I always try to be there to see how the rehearsal is happening and everything. Because see, also you have to understand, especially in Bengali films, the rehearsal is the only time when you can see what the lighting is.
Yes.
Because you don't have time to correct also. So you have to see the rehearsal and you can understand what is happening, and then in like fraction of a second you have to correct everything. So that is why it's very necessary, and I see them while they're blocking. And if that only moment I think that something is going wrong, I would tell no, don't stand here, just go 2 step there or 2 step here, make your meeting point here instead of this, and stuff like that. So I kind of I don't influence their acting, but I try to help them to understand, okay, this would capture your craft better this way, so let me help you. I am just trying to capture your craft in a better way. And a lot of time they'd be like, sometimes they'll be scared and like, I don't think I have enough light on my face right now and stuff like that. Which I understand where they're coming from also. And they come to me and say, and I'm like, no, bhal lakche, don't worry. The mood is like that. You trust me on this. You just see the thing once. If it doesn't work for you, then we'll change it. But first you give the shot and you see it's fine, it's all good and stuff like that. And then I let them also have that space. You come and watch. You see that it's working or not. Because understand it has to be part of the narrative also. It is just not your face. No, it has to be the part of the narrative also. So then I show them, and luckily till now everybody has agreed to it. Nobody has changed. So
do you go mad like sometimes, like you can't control your anger, and do you burst out on set?
Yes.
And aren't you scared that if I burst out, maybe the next gig won't come by? Like does that thought occur to you?
No, that thought doesn't occur to me, because I don't think I am randomly angry. I have a huge tolerance level. And I don't shout at the artists on anything. I'll shout at my team, because I am responsible for nothing else in the set except for my department, which is light, camera, grips and all of it. So I don't have a right to shout at any other department either, because they're not under me. Why will I shout? If there is something wrong, I can just tell the director, okay, so this is the problem. If the makeup is like showing, then I just might go and call the makeup artist, we just check it once. I just showing on camera, it's just patchy or it is too bright. And I won't be like, oh, why have you done this? It is not right. That's not my responsibility. I can just mark, say, it's just patchy. Just go and check it once. Or if the costume is wrong, and I'm like, dude, it's like, just come and see. Look at the wall color. Look at his costume. It is the same costume. Don't we have any option? And then they will go. So with them, I can do that. But with my own team is very scared of me. Because they know, okay, Didi, খুশি আছে ঠিক আছে, but the moment she will burst, it is going to be wrong. So I do scream and shout, but they know that it's not out of just malice or it is unnecessarily I'm screaming at the top of my lungs.
You have a fixed team, like the
Yeah, I
people
have a
who
fixed
work.
team, yeah.
You have a fixed gaffer.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So now that they also know my vibe and everything, they also make sure that they don't reach that point when I have to scream and shout, because it goes very deadly. And I scream like everybody waits also, because everybody knows that একদিন তো এরকম সেটে হবে when she'll be screaming, and that is going to be a very wrong day. So yeah, but then I make sure that I try to not shout and scream. But there's sometimes when you're told that same thing for 4-5 times and it's still not happening and you're running short of time, and even then it is keeping on happening, then you have to kind of raise your voice and scream and shout, just so that it's also, I believe that it also rewires that entire team once, right? It's like, and then they, and because after a point they're like, somebody's smoking a cigarette, somebody's chilling, somebody's talking on the girlfriend on the phone with the girlfriend, somebody's seeing reels and stuff like that. So beach mein one of these shouts kind of also rewires, like, and they come back, yes, yeah, Didi, and then suddenly the things are happening. So I think it's just kind of that also. But I love my team, and I think they're my family. The way I shoot, the mad things that I do, they have been so supportive, and they fight for me literally on set to do the thing on time, the way we want, and making sure that there is no complaint from anybody saying that this is, because of the camera team, this didn't happen. So I love my team.
So the next topic is, you've worked with Devta a couple of times, I guess. Why him is because, he is taking major leaps now in the industry, and, just trying to make his own path and trying to revive the industry. What are the qualities that you have noticed as an artist or as a human being that, that you liked?
The best part about Devda is that he's actually a very nice person. I always believe that if you're not a nice person, you can't be a good artist. So the primary thing about Devda is an extremely, extremely sweet and nice person. He's extremely grounded, extremely humble, and he believes that his team is his family, which is so important. And when he takes up a project that he has decided to produce or something, he is into it. He is into it bang on. And by into it, I don't mean that he's creatively interfering. He's not interfering at all, but he'll be just in the thick of things, that how is it happening, what are you planning, ki korchish bol, ki bhabchi amra, ekhane shoot na kore okhane korte hতে পারি, এটা করলে ওটা করতে পারি. So he's bouncing ideas, he's understanding what is happening, and it is such a comfort to have him around. And the best thing is that he, as a producer, he produces at his office. When he's on set, then he's just the actor. And he's an actor without any tantrums, without anything. He's just there doing his craft. And he would come and say sometimes that, and so if I'm a junior DOP, even then he would be like, shot ta thik chilo. And is there any changes that you want me to do? Is my marking correct? And all of that. So he has that camaraderie with his entire team, and he makes it's so easy to work with him. And he's a beautiful, beautiful person, And I love the fact that he has been pushing that envelope for the longest time as an actor and as a producer, as both ways. And I love the fact that how he can keep both of his two things very separate from each other. Like when he's an actor, he's not a producer. When he's a producer, he's not an actor. So there's a difference. He just switches on and off between the two and takes that decisions. He listens to you, tries to understand what your idea is, try to understand what your point is. And if he's convinced, he will do that crazy thing equally like you. And he'll go for it the first thing, like more than anybody else. He'll be the one doing all the crazy things. Chal korbo, amra এইভাবে করবো, এইভাবে করবো, and all of it. And he's extremely, extremely how do I say, comfortable to be on set with. He makes sure that everybody is at ease, and it is for him. If you don't understand that it is a superstar working with you on set, he's just there as every other person is, and it is fantastic. So we are all eating together, and if I've we sometimes we buy things like fuchka khachi shobai mile, and then he suddenly come from, he's like, hey, tora amake dili na. Anyway, so that fun also he has. His jokes on set, he does that. So he's a brilliant, brilliant person, and of course, and how he's pushing the envelope is quite something to learn from. And I think it's our duty also to support him in what he's trying to do, because for the film industry.
As a human being, your craft, of course, watching movies and reading about photography or painting, that is there. Is there anything else that you do to push the boundaries, your boundaries as a creative person, as a cinematographer, something which is not related to the things that generally we do, study, watch interviews, read books? That is there, that has to happen.
I think what I do is I like to observe.
Okay.
I just observe life when it happens in front
What
of
do
me.
you observe?
How are the people walking? What is going on? What is that moment that is unfolding in front of me? So if I'm standing at Lord's Moor, say, I just stand and I look at life as it happens to me. That how a taxi just went, how this guy just walked, how this, because of this car it went, there was a red light on his face, and how is that piche ka rickshaw wala ka, that light is throwing a different thing. How is that ghar ka light flickering in that other way? I just sit and kind of observe life.
Do you get time to actually observe?
You find those times to observe when you're just taking a cab ride. You're going from meeting to one meeting to the other. All you have to do is open your eyes and just see what is happening outside, and let that happen to you, because colors, images, all of it is always there. And I just kind of keep on making this. I think it is how do I say? It is an unconscious way of mine to make image banks. I kind of reference those visuals that I'm seeing, that how is it happening. So
Anything else that you do apart from observing? Pushing the human boundaries?
I am done pushing boundaries. I don't want to push boundaries anymore.
Pushing the boundaries as in, not only for your craft, but
No, I've started doing gym. If that is pushing the boundaries, I am actually.
No, but gym.
I am you have to understand, I'm a very lazy person.
Okay.
If you see me on set, nobody has more energy than me. Since the first minute I walk in till the last minute I go out, nobody has better energy than me. But outside set, if I don't have any work, all I love to do is sleep. And when I'm saying I literally love to sleep, I love to sleep. And I do that. And there is nothing else. Because I kind of go into this energy conservation mode. So either I am working or I'm sleeping. There is no two ways about it. So what you're trying to say, I don't actually go out to do any pushing limits, because I'm done
I'll give you a few examples that, you are way senior, of course, just trying to share what I do. Is I bought a PlayStation so that I could explore more worlds that other artists are creating, because they have observed, like you just said, and they have their own creative interpretations, and they have created that world that you can travel through and interact with, of course, digitally. That is one thing that I tend to do, but I don't. Sometimes, of course, because time is precious. The other thing that I try to do is I also try to get into music, classical music, just learn the basics, because again, time is limited. That is one thing that I do, to do something different that will bring the soul in. And another thing that I try to do is, read a lot of spiritual books, just to try and understand what is going on within me. So these are the small things that I do to, push the boundaries. Doesn't have to be always in a external ways, but it is also about the very internal thing, because what I feel is whenever I am shooting, I try to bring that soul. Of course, a lot of people do, but how do I get that soul? I have to be in touch with my soul to get that soul, right? So these are the things that I tend to do.
Congratulations for it. Very nice practice. No, I sleep. My answer remains same. I sleep.
Yeah.
Either I think that because I am so much into the process all the time, I don't the time when I'm not working, I'm worrying so much about the next work.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to figure out that next contract, or I'm, ceasing for something else. I don't have that luxury that what you're saying is a privilege, is a luxury, which I don't have that time to, sit back and read a spiritual book or stuff like that. Like maybe if I had continued dancing, I would have answered that, but I was a dancer and I left it. So maybe if I did that, I would have said. But no, right now I actually don't do that. It's the only thing other than that, as I said, maybe I'm watching another film and I'm taking mental notes about it. But that is the only thing.
So your spiritual connect is while sleeping. Your meditation is sleeping.
Yes,
You're
my
connecting
meditation
with
is
yourself
sleeping.
and
Because
you're rejuvenating.
and I love sleeping because I have very vivid dreams and I remember most of them.
Oh.
So for me it is an enjoyable process. Ke ajke ki swapno dekhbo, and I do that.
Got it right.
So I do that.
So I don't have any vivid dreams. I'm so worried now because wish I had dreams.
I have very vivid ones, so I that is why I enjoy it. But that is the truth of it. Everybody knows that I'm sleeping, and that is exactly what I do.
So is the monetary part satisfactory in the industry that you're working right now? Do you ever think that the pay scale that you're getting or the lifestyle that you're living, is there any moment where you feel that this is not enough? Or do you counter question yourself?
You have to realize that, of course, when you're comparing something to what my counterparts are earning in South, or my counterparts are earning in Bombay, it's a huge difference of payment scale. And when I personally go and work in outside studios, and what I get is huge difference what I get when I'm doing in Kolkata. But that's an unfortunate part. I think that everybody knows. It is no point kind of harping about it, because the budget is also low, your pay scale is also low, and because the pay scale is low, what you wanted to achieve when you were 35, maybe to buy a car, to maybe buy a house, you don't get to do that, which was a glorious period, like even 10 years back. Then, working in film industry, everybody had got fancy cars and huge houses in top rises and stuff like that. But now for us, it's a distant dream. You can't do that. It was easy 10 years back, but now it's not. So there is no point. There's no point questioning about it, or cribbing about it, because that is the reality.
But until unless you speak and
Yeah, but then until unless I speak, if the budget of the film doesn't increase, where will I get the money? So you have to understand percentage wise also, no? So a 1.5 koti ka film is not going to pay you 15 lakhs of money as a DOP, right? It will never will. So there is no point having a conversation.
Have you ever thought of moving out from Kolkata?
I love the city too much to move out. I just love the city, and I don't want to move out. And also my parents are there, so I want to be close to them. And I don't want to move out that way. But having said that, I want to work everywhere in the world. I just don't want to work in Kolkata. My process is कि मुझे दुनिया देखना है. So I'll be in Kolkata, but I will work anywhere and everywhere that work takes me. And that has been how I've functioned till now. And I don't believe that, just staying in Bombay is going to give me work. If work is good enough, I'll get a call from Bombay, which I've had been getting. But hey, yes, you have to put a bit more of extra effort there. But then it's possible. It is not that it's not possible.
It is. People are doing.
People are doing it. And and also the thing is, you have to understand that economically, if I'm earning something in Bombay, but I'm kharcha kodifying it in Kolkata, it is much lesser than kharchaing it in Bombay, right? Because the money just flows out like anything. Just don't even know, because of the house rents and how the travel is and everything.
Everything's very, very expensive.
It's just money is gone. So if you want to save also, I think rather being here, because it is a cheaper city and a nicer city to be in. I love Kolkata. I just love it. I love how it is. I love the vibe of it. I just feel it is one of the most beautiful places ever. I don't want to leave that.
But why cinematography? Like, was that a natural process? And from childhood, you were brought up in an environment where you naturally got into cinematography. Or was it a very conscious choice? Was there an appeal towards the visual aspects of things that brought you into this career?
See, I always felt that because of how my background is with my parents, there always this, with images, I've always had a very intimate relationship. And I knew that, looking through a camera makes the world look a lot more magical than how reality is. And I've always been attracted to that. And then when I was in college in Xavier's and mass comm, that is where I kind of took the decision that, camera it is. Because we had this small studio there and we used to light up basic things. Like it has just two babies and two kinos. That is about it. But then you just do the basic things with it. You play around. But then I realized that that space liberated me in a way. I felt extremely at ease. It was like as if I've come home, and I could go hours and hours doing that, just playing with the light and how thing it is. And I realized that if somebody tells me to do this every day for the next of my life, I won't mind. And it's something I would look forward to doing it. And I have always believed that if I don't like what I'm doing, there is no point doing it. I need to enjoy what I'm doing. I need to want to get up and go to work. If I don't want to go to work, then the work won't happen the way it should.
Yeah.
So I just felt in that studio, okay, this is my space. I found my home and this is what I want to do. The whole process of it, I really enjoy, really love. And it just came to me that, this is it. This is it. This is what I want to do.
So, lighting wise, one, you said that observing your surroundings and wherever you go, you're observing. Is there any other way to improve your lighting? What did you do things, to improve your lighting?
It's always a trial and error method, I guess, for me.
But on set, you're not allowed to do any trial.
No, I did trial in one shot. No. Say, let's put this light in this way. Let's see how it works. And then you put the light, it doesn't work. Then you go like, take it, pull do. Or then you can put the light and then you be like, it is not bad. Why don't we tweak it in this way and do that? Sometimes I put a light in a particular scene, which I have a scope of lighting differently. And I play around in that space that, let's try doing this. What will it work? Will it work? Will it doesn't work? So I can do that. So in these moments, I find my experimentation of things, how to do this, how to do that. And especially when I'm doing my independent films, that is the time I really experiment. That is when I go about and get to do it.
Because the stakes are also not high, you can experiment.
Yeah, and the whole point of independent film is to experiment, is to have a different set of visuals, is to have a visual that resonates in a different way. So that is the times I can really, really push it and see, go crazy and do this and that and see if it works, if it doesn't work, and if it's my thing also. Because you have to understand that every DP has their thing.
Yeah, of course.
It is how Brahma would light, or how Oyon would light, how Prosenjit would light. I would light in a different way. All four of us light our things different way. Because of
different taste.
It's different people, right? You are kind of extension of yourself through that craft. So me as a person, I also need to know that if this certain lighting scheme works for me or not. If I don't like it, then I won't do it. So when you're changing these lighting schemes, when you're trying to play around with the ways, then it's also about you getting to know that do you get attracted to it or not? Do you feel the magic of it or not? If it doesn't feel right, then you don't do it. Experimentations that is how I do. And like, for example, I also do that. I take a lot of stakes in shooting maybe one particular film in a certain way and just gamble that let's see what happens. Like, for example, when I was shooting Dil Khush, I took that gamble of having 4 different color palettes for the 4 different stories. And all the lighting scheme of all the 4 characters were also different. Like 4 stories, 4 different looks it was. It was a huge gamble that I played that, should look coherent, but it should look different also. Like each time I'm jumping the story, it should understand that we have, jumped a world. It is now their world. It is now their world. But it also should not look like 4 different films being played out.
It should not look jarring. And I watched the movie and it didn't look jarring. Not even for a single frame. It was a very smooth transition from one story to another, from another. It was beautiful, beautifully shot.
Thank you. So so that was experimented, did in that. So this kind of boundaries you push and you try to do that. Like, for example, when we did Choi Bishash, what I tried doing in Choi Bishash was I wanted to use this color red all the time. It was a very important color for me. So even whatever is happening, whenever this guy is in frame, you would see that hint of color red somewhere or the other
But
in the
don't you
frame.
think audience have grown smarter to not have RGB tubes in the frame? What is your take? Because in Chobi Vishwas, there's a scene of this lady walking up the stairs, and we could see one RGB tube behind in they scene also.
Yeah.
But
So
was that a conscious
it was a
choice?
conscious choice to put
No,
it
why did you,
there.
in a daylight, why do you want an RGB tube placed?
So till the point the guy is murdering in an 8 mm camera, that you can believe, but you can't believe an RGB tube is there. That is, see, thing is, you have to understand is how absurd or dysfunctional the space is also.
Yeah.
So you can work with that.
But the lady walking up and it was a day scene. But I'm just trying to, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but what I'm saying is I'm trying to understand what your thought process was.
See, my thought process it is because we have established the light before also.
Yeah, that you have.
Whenever you see the stairs, you see that red light there. And you have to also understand when this shot that you're talking about, when she gets up, the guy hasn't returned. So nobody has actually turned off the light
Okay.
since last night. It is on.
See, this is the beauty.
Because
This
the
is what I want.
point is that she comes and because she's searching for him, that where has he gone, right? That is why she comes up the stairs to look for him because he has not come back home. So then nobody has turned off the light actually. The light has been all the whole night and now it is still on. It is just there.
Yeah, this is the thought process that I wanted to know, and thank God it's clear. It's out of me now. Next, moving on is what are the films that you are watching nowadays? To observe, or what are the movies that you're liking nowadays?
I have watched, not like, I just watch every kind of movie, but right now I watched this film called Vazai.
Okay.
Then I watched this film called Vaza. Then I'm watching a lot of South films right now actually. Then I watched this film called Kuman, then Kishkinda Kandam, all of that I watched. And I'm really trying to understand that how South film is uh, picturizing or showcasing the very normal spaces in their own way, because each time you open the film, you can understand it's from somewhere.
Have you noticed few nuances that you would want to share?
No, it's very difficult to put my finger on, and that is what I'm trying to kind of figure out also. Because see, they use a lot of lights of the bulb and stuff like that, and most of the time it's a very village oriented story. So you can see that green foliage and how wet it is, and you can see that intense green, and in between there is a strong sunlight coming, so you already have a set color palette, and they're playing around it continuously, and they are shooting these wide shots and stuff like that, which is very interesting to see. And what I've realized that they have cracked that way of shooting normal stylizations, like I can't express it, but a space which is very mundane and random and normal, it is still random and normal, but it is not flat, it is not muddy, it still has that kick in it, the space still has that high contrast stuff, or something is happening
The
there.
texture, there's a lot of
There's a lot
texture.
of texture, there's a lot of density in the images. So that is so interesting and refreshing to watch. So,
And the characters are also like,
but then see, you have to understand that we almost have the same thing. Or if we are looking at something like a Purulia, and I want to shoot a chayar dokan in Purulia, how can I have that sense of texture in that space? Because it is at core, it is the same thing. Both of the spaces are villages, are outside the city, and you are having those people. And but then what is it that is making, how can I, like, when I shoot, I don't want to make it look like a film, it should look like that space.
okay.
Because I personally feel that what I'm trying to at least go for is the fact that you have to feel the images. There has to be a third dimension to it. Like if it's a rainy shot, you have to feel the rain, you have to feel the cold washing on your face. Or if you see the sun, you just have to feel that. Just for a sake also, you'll just do this, try to wipe your sweat off. But I'm trying to get there when the images will evoke that physical sensation in you. It is just not about the eyes anymore. You need to have a physical reaction to that images. The blood will splatter and you would like go that way. Or you would walk into a dark zone and you would be like, for a second, you will also try to adjust your eyes, okay, it is very dark, I can't see anything. Or something moves and you'll just have a question, did something move? So I'm just trying to reach that space where I think that it is time that my visuals need to start having a physical reaction to it. It is just not pretty images and good lighting and good framing. It has to evoke something in you and physically should evoke
But
something in
how
you.
does that work? Like, have you figured out, like,
No, I'm still figuring it out.
I understand what you're trying to say, where you're coming from, but how does one achieve that? Like,
I don't know. That is a practice I'm trying to get into, but I feel it because so if I'm shooting a film in, like, for example, something what happened to me, and I think it is doable. People have done it. It's not that they have not done it. So something like a tomb bird, if you watch it, you can actually feel that rain happening to you. That incessant rain, it after a point it actually starts physically affecting you. So you need to, I need to go out there and crack that, to get you, to make you feel that rain, to make you smell that soil, to make you, I don't know, to evoke something, to make you feel that heat. You might want to take off your jacket for like a split second, that, oh, it's hot. You just want to have that, even if it's for a split second, but you need to have that. And that is what I think I am looking for now in my own visuals, in my own way of looking at things, and also to look a space that is stylized but it is natural, which I kind of tried doing in Kacher Manush. When I shot Kacher Manush, my idea was to shoot it in a very different way that is not Kolkata way, because we were shooting a lot of natural locations and natural places. So I wanted to have that texture there. I wanted to have it a little high-con, but I wanted to have that stylized feel to it. It should not look like a documentary. It should look like a feature film, but the spaces should have density, to have character, to have textures, and to use a little color palette which is a little off than what we are used to seeing in how Kolkata is being looked at. So I kind of tried doing that in Kacher Manush. Some said it worked. So
I was watching this Airy show reel and I saw some of your footage. It's a very proud moment for us because, someone representing our state, her imagery being portrayed in the Airy show reel. How did that happen? Like, you knew that your footage is
no.
So that just happened, and then you later realized that this has happened.
Yeah. When the Addy showreel came out, I saw my footage
Yeah,
there.
and that visual is actually stunning. Kishmish thega, I guess. Yeah, nice. And you also became recently ISC member.
Yes.
How did that happen? And did you know that you are becoming an ISC member? Or
No, ISC. So the high process of ISC is ISC team selects you. There is no application process or anything.
Yeah, that is what.
So I didn't know. I just got informed that Shudipda called me, Shudip Chatterjee called me, and he said, "K Modhura, congratulations, welcome to ISC." I was like, "Thank you very much." He's like, "Welcome to the club. We'll send you the mail and everything." So yeah, start using ISC now. I was like, "Can I use it in tech?" He was like, "Yes."
So what happens is, I just want to understand this tag ISC. Of course, all are respected cinematographers, highly respected cinematographers who are member of the ISC. What is this club about?
It is not club about it. It's an honorary membership that I think it kind of is a way of validating the fact that you are doing good work, you are there, you're seen,
you've
observed, you've arrived. It's like a badge in a way, and it's like a pat in the back that well done, good job done. So it's like being a prefect. There is nothing thing about it, but you're a prefect means that you're doing good work. That is why you're a prefect. So now you're in the prefect club. It is the same thing that. So we are recognizing your work. We think that your work, it's making the right notes, hitting the right things, and you have done so much of it. And so welcome to the club. You're doing great stuff.
Is there any other privileges that comes along with ISC? Of course, the tag, the recognition is there.
What it does, ISC itself, they organize a lot. If that happens for all of ISC members, there's a lot of workshops. There's a lot of camera experiments and this and that. So that you get access to, Like, for example, Kiran Devhans just took a workshop for ISC members.
Okay.
So for ISC members only. So like the junior ISC members goes and gets to talk to the senior ones, and it just becomes this club where the exchange starts happening a lot smoother. And if some new AD camera has come, they would obviously have an workshop or a session with ISC members where they'll show you the features and stuff like that. So all of it is there. If the perks, if you're talking about, yeah, these are the perks of it. But more than that, I think the fact that it is like somebody writing IAS or IPS. It is the same thing that you have. There are these stages that you want to hit. So ISC is that one stage that I've kind of been lucky to hit.
When is ASC happening?
AC only Santosh Shivan has got. So, and he's a brilliant, he's godlike.
Yeah.
So let him have it.
A recent cinematographer that you really look forward to seeing his work and really look up to. Is there anyone that you follow particularly? Of course, most of them are doing great work, but one particular cinematographer?
No, not anybody.
You just go watch good stuff.
I just go and watch good
Yeah.
stuff. I just go and watch good stuff from anybody and anywhere. Because, see, I also understand that some people, like, generically, they're good DOPs. Like, somebody like a Santosh Shivan is God, or Rajiv Menon, or like Shirshoda, or Ovi Mukhopadhyay, or Shubhankar is a darling, but he does tremendous work. So, these people, you just know that they will come up with good work anyway. So you don't kind of judge them or do all of it. I am curious about, I don't follow any particular work, but I try to see the newer filmmakers doing work all over the globe. And I want to see what my contemporary age group of technicians are trying to do. It is not always a hit. It's sometimes a miss, but then in that misses also you try to understand, what he or she wanted to do and why it didn't kind of work. So it is about not, I don't want to say a comparison, but it is like a case study. You want to know what is happening all over the world and how people are looking at visuals nowadays, how they're looking at images nowadays, and how you can improve, how you can maybe incorporate an idea from that, or you can be inspired by that. It doesn't mean inspired doesn't mean I want to copy that frame, but I take an idea or a suggestion from it. Oh yeah, this is a good idea, this can be done in this way. So you take that and you do it. And I think it's just, as I said, it's just same thing about observing and just trying to figure out the worldview of everybody is working around and figuring it out.
What is your philosophy of life, and in personal, being a personal human being, and also in your career? Is there a philosophy that you follow, or are there different philosophies that you follow?
There's a lot of philosophies, but I think for my filmmaking process, the philosophy I have is that I deal every film like, what if it's my last film? Because I don't know what the next work is coming. What if the next work never comes? So, jab likha jayega, that will be stay, na, ki this was the last film Modhura Palit shot, and then cannot be a stupid damn thing. It has to have that. It should be worth being that last film that she shot. So I go for that each time, and I try to give my best, knowing that just might be the last film that I'm shooting. So people can't say it was a crappy thing that she did and she finished off. And I try to stay positive as much as possible throughout everything, because the times are very dark and everything around is very messed up, and everybody's trolling all the time, everybody is on social media. It is a maskless, it's like a very faceless kind of a people out there, just going to come and criticize and then vanish off. And it's just that they can just write whatever they want about you and they can just go off, and you would never know who did that, because that is the thing of it. And to navigate between all of it and to stay positive, yet to grow as a DP, not stay stagnant in my own craft, hone myself, and in that process find a new language, maybe a new way of looking at things, a new vibe, a new smell, or a new perfume. This is the thing. So my philosophy is that to kind of work on myself, reinvent myself, not be angry with people. Like you can remember the anger, but you don't need to be angry with them. You can, like, it's like, forgive but don't forget, and move on with it. And at the end of the day, I have realized more than not every other time that I am my best friend. There is nobody else around you to help out. So, and to be that, the only thing that is going to take me forward is my craft. And I have to keep working on it, be truthful to it. And because the day I stop being truthful to my craft, I can't look at myself in the mirror anymore. So, and I don't want to do that. I just want to be truthful to myself that, yes, you failed here. You were not concentrating enough. But, or at the same time, I try not to, I have a tendency of over criticizing myself. So I try not to do that also, that, okay, fine, you tried, it didn't happen. These were all the things. So it didn't work. It's fine. It's okay. You don't have to like beat your head against the wall for it. So yeah, I guess it's just trying to be sane in this space
Insane
of
world.
in this insane world. It's like a TV. I feel that the world is like a TV running in the corner pan shop. It just doesn't stop. It's on full volume and it is just blasting out nonsense, and you
Yes.
can't do anything about it.
Yes.
So after a point, you have to kind of zone out and be inside. It's like this Kung Fu Panda, inner peace.
So, is one last thing. Is any suggestions for aspiring cinematographers or people who are just starting off from your end?
Study the craft, and study the craft. Take it seriously. Like, if you want to be an engineer or doctor, you would have studied, right? So why just because it's a camera you won't study? That makes no sense. It's a extremely technical job, it's an extremely aesthetical job, and it has a lot of economics involved. So it's one of the most volatile and dynamic jobs out there. So take it seriously. Study about it, study the graph, study the science behind it, study everything and get into it, and be prepared to hustle also. Don't take the easy way out. It might just, by fluke, you might just get 1 or 2 gigs and all of it will be fine. But then if you want to sustain for years, then you have to know your craft. And there is no shortcuts to it. You just have to know your craft, because your craft and you, the only 2 people who are going to go all the way. So don't ignore it. You just study, and study it very, very, very seriously.
Thank you for coming and having such a wonderful, warm conversation with you. I hope to get you back sometime very soon to have another beautiful conversation.
I had a lovely time too.